This YCN segment is brought to you by LaValley Building Supply and Middleton Building Supply.
Welcome in, YCN Sports Talk. Jeremy Stout, Andrew Zerhide in studio today. And we keep rolling along with the NFL season. The Patriots, another big win. It wasn't pretty at times, and obviously we'll talk about some of the repercussions for Gronk's actions. But that game itself, Patriots looked good at first and then kind of slowed down. 23-3 was the final, so it was fine. But the last couple of games, it just really hasn't been a wow factor, and you just hope they're building up to a big one in Pittsburgh in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think when the Patriots played the Dolphins a couple weeks ago, I think their passing game was pretty on point then. I think they scored, 35 points in that game. I think that was better from them, but I think last week the thing to take away that was good was their defense. They only allowed 3 points.
Right.
I know it was against the Bills. I mean, they have a really good running back in LaShawn McCoy, but they're not, the strongest team on offense, but still their defense only allowing 3 points. That's pretty good. If they can continue that, even just average defense, I think they're going to be okay. Their running game was solid last week, but their passing struggled a little bit at times. Thomas struggled to throw TDs this season. Over the last few weeks before last week, we saw him throw like 12 or something like that, a ton.
Yeah.
But last week, I don't think he had any.
No,
right?
I don't think he had any.
I think Burkhead scored the 2 touchdowns.
Right, and he had one or two interceptions, so he didn't.
Right. Yeah.
He didn't look great, but like you said, the defense really played well. That big stand, I know it was at the end of the game when the game was all but over.
Right, yeah.
Touchdown wouldn't have mattered, but it was good to see the defense get a stand on fourth down. A couple, Gilmore had another interception.
Yeah, Gilmore looked good. He's looking better.
And their defense has come a long way. It still needs a little bit of work, like you said, when they play a team with some offense. I don't know if it's this week against the Dolphins, but next week, the week after that against Pittsburgh, and then when they get to the playoffs. But the defense has certainly turned a corner from what it was the first 4 weeks. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, we saw them struggling against teams that didn't have good offenses. They were scoring at will. Their secondary just looked all over the place. It didn't look good at all. So just to allow 3 points, I think that's a huge win. Obviously, besides the win you got, I think that's a huge win just on the defensive side.
Definitely. And okay, so one of the good game, they get the win. Buffalo is a place that Brady's always had good success.
Yep.
Gronk's had good success in Buffalo. Unfortunately, a little bit of a inappropriate action there, and you can understand that. Obviously, as everyone's heard by now, he's suspended 1 game. He appealed it; it was upheld, so he'll be out for this week against Miami. You can understand the frustration, so we're not going to take anything away from him on that, but you can't do something like that. That wasn't even like a cheap shot of a tackle or shoving a guy who's on his feet out of bounds. That was pretty dirty.
Yeah, it was dirty, and I think the refs missed a couple holding calls on Gronk, so he was frustrated. Obviously, the ball just got picked off because of the missed holding calls.
Right.
But it was just a blatant... I mean, the hit was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, the camera was right on him. Everyone saw it. Everyone in the world saw it. I mean, it wasn't, secretive at all. It was just ridiculous. And I think you kind of saw Gronk on the sidelines afterwards, kind of like, oh no.
Right. He knew immediately that he did something he shouldn't. I mean, and he apologized in the post game, and I'm sure he called the the player on the Bills and talked to him. And Belichick apologized to Coach McDermott at the end at the handshake. One of the cameras caught them talking, and he did say yes. All right. And so, I mean, it was good, but you can't do that. I was a little surprised though that he didn't get suspended for 2 games.
Yeah.
And then the appeal drops it down to 1 game, but because it was so egregious that the NFL seemed like they'd want to send a message and say 2 games.
Yeah, I think it brings up another point about Gronk. He kind of gets a free pass. I mean, we see a lot of his off-field stuff. He likes to party and all this stuff. He's never done anything like break the law or anything like that, but he does kind of get a free pass. And I mean, that hit, I think it was Stephen A. Smith who, of course, is going to give his opinion no matter what it is, but I think he suggested even more than 3-game suspension for Gronk.
Wow.
So, I mean, I kind of was expecting more than 1 game because it really was that bad of a hit.
Right.
And the appeal could have brought it down to 1. I think maybe that would have been more appropriate, but, the 1-game suspension and having it upheld with the appeal, I mean, it's something.
Right, and maybe it was the fact that he hasn't been suspended before for other on-field stuff like Sue or Albert Hainsworth, the old player who played for the Redskins, and he was on the Titans and then with the Patriots for a little while. But maybe it was just he didn't have that, that history.
Right.
And maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, I think as a tight end, I mean he does do a lot of blocking, but for the most part, he's not going out and really hitting a ton of guys. So he doesn't exactly have a ton of opportunity to get flagged for that. But he is a first-time offender, so I guess it's appropriate.
So he'll be out for this game against Miami. That's, of course, Monday Night Football and a big game. Patriots can't overlook the Dolphins. Obviously, the Steelers coming up the next week. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get into some baseball off-season right now. The winter meetings will be starting next week. We'll talk about what the Red Sox need to do this off-season to defend their American League East Division championship. We'll take a break. You're watching YCN Sports Talk.